Full Metal Jack 14 says, "Hey Pat and Wooly, love the show. Loved when Sphere Hunter was on making a surprise appearance. You have great
Oh, Susie's
chemistry."
a fantastic guest.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you don't
Um,
mind, but I tentatively penciled her in for March 27th,
I
the
mean,
Monday after RE4 comes out.
there are some points at which it just makes sense. So, yeah. Having heard a lot about Bayo 3 on the show since it came out, I must preface this question saying that I never played a Bayonetta game. My only exposure to the franchise has been through its presence in Smash Brothers. I've always
Hmm.
viewed Bayonetta as Nintendo's
Oh,
goofy,
weird.
inferior attempt at push publishing a Ninja Gaiden DMC like, both of which I have played. And nothing you guys have ever said over the past month has persuaded me that this opinion is in any way incorrect. Given the recent poor reception of Bayo 3, I wonder if it has occurred to either of you that Bayonetta is just a middling C tier franchise that is ultimately unworthy of the amount of time you've dedicated to covering it. I am interested to hear both of your takes on the overall quality and cultural influence, if any, of the Bayonetta franchise. I guess it also brings up the question of if and how much you decide how much time to devote to a given subject on a particular episode.
Hmm. Okay, you want to take this first? Because I'm going to be real blunt.
Uh, if you haven't played the fucking thing, how do you know that? At the end of the day, if you're saying, yeah, it sounds pretty bad from what you guys are saying, and in the end, turns out it was all a complete fucking waste of time. Like, okay, but you don't know, right? So, what the fuck then are you standing on with that? Outside of, I guess, what you've heard of us. I don't know. The first two games, if you have been listening, are fucking fun. They're great. They were um, excellent alternatives to like the Devil May Cry franchise, which is at the peak of whatever you want to. What do you call it? Hack and slash or character action, whatever it was. Um, they're still excellent games. They are made by people who understand what type of difficulty, what type of challenge, what type of combat freedom you want to have with these styles of games. And these games are the direct reason why games later on that go lightly in this direction or heavy in this direction end up being better, right? With what was established in Bayonetta, you get your Nier Automata, you get your Metal Gear Rising. Anything that is getting borrowed, anything that is getting borrowed in the sense of like a launcher into a big old action scene looking moment in a game that is not one of these classic Devil May Cry likes or so, is borrowing from what was established in these first games. So like those are still fucking excellent. And I'd say you're standing on some big clout words there, but no, the third one was disappointing, and the reason why we've talked about it this much is because how much we liked the first ones. Like it it becomes such a big point of like negativity when your expectations are high because the expectations have been set from how good the previous ones were.
What's the name on this email? I missed it. I'm curious if I know this person from one of my chats.
Full Metal Jack 14.
Sounds familiar, but regardless. So there is a point to be made here. It's coming off extremely like aggressive, and it is also coming off like, why are you guys talking about a game that I don't personally care about on your podcast? So it's kind of like the fighting game thing going on. I would say that the Bayonetta situation, I would term it the Dark Souls 2 problem. I don't know if you remember when I was playing Dark Souls 2 the year it came out, and we got to the end of the year, and I ranted and raved about how pissed off I was about Dark Souls 2 for like 90 minutes, and then said it's the game of the year. I can't stop playing it. For character action or beat 'em ups or however you want to call it, there's like on average one of those games coming out maybe every 18 months. It is a really sparse genre. There's Devil May Cry, there's kind of Ninja Gaiden, but not really. Like 3 was quite bad, and like there's one good version of one and like one good version of two across like 10 releases. A lot of the independent ones like Wet or I can't even remember the other ones are like fucking terrible.
Heavenly Sword.
Heavenly Sword are awful. So when there's ones that are coming out from, I'm gonna say, prestige development studios, even if they have hits and misses, it's something to take notice because it's kind of all we got. In the context of Devil May Cry 5, Nier Automata, and Metal Gear Rising, yeah, Bayo 3 is pretty bad in that context. However, it's still, because of its like fun to play itness moment to moment, is something I would have rather played than like nearly any action game that is currently on the market. It's a point of context. The issue with us being so down on DMC on Bayo 3 in particular is because the last point of contact with this genre is DMC 5 and DMC 5 Special Edition, which is unmistakably the best game in that genre by an order of magnitude. Like it's not even close. And specifically, Bayo 3's attempt to like kind of crib some of that but not do it as well makes a really, really, really poor comparison. Bayo 3 has problems. Bayo 1 and 2 also have problems. I would say comparing it to Ninja Gaiden is probably the most apt comparison because Ninja Gaiden also has real problems aside from Ninja Gaiden Black, which is perfect. But the core of that experience is still something that you kind of can't get anywhere else, even within its own genre.
There you go. Well said.
Like Ninja Gaiden, like Bayo 3 is way better than Ninja Gaiden 3. Ninja Gaiden 3 is bad. It's like genuinely bad.
Yeah.
But Ninja Gaiden Black is perfect.
Right. Dark Souls 2 being the worst of the category that is Dark Souls games is still way better than other games that attempt to be Souls-like, but
the way like Dark Souls 2 is 10 times better than Mortal Shell. And Mortal Shell is fine.
Sure.
Right? Like no shade or like what's the game there? Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah.
It's way better than Lords of the Fallen. Like holy shit.
So it's there's another situation I think of when people that are like competitive at a game start to talking about it on like a tournament level and they're like, oh, this game is fucking ass, dude, this thing is stupid, it sucks, the balance is fucked up, it's all whack. And it's like you're within this like ecosystem of you are in love with it and it is better than all the alternatives that are like way inferior, and within this framework you're calling the game shit knowing that it's still the thing you're going to play even if you're hating a particular balance patch or so, because it's still way better than the rest. Absolutely, yeah. And as I said before, that
biggest problem is that its proximity to games that even the own studio has made, like Rising and Automata, is unfavorable.
Yes, there's that. And I would say another thing that is a problem of the nature of what we do, which is talking into a microphone and people hear it and shit, is we're describing our disappointment with Bayo 3 from an intimate place with that franchise. You know what I mean? Like, we're super paying attention to like these bits and pieces in a way that if you're just hearing on the outside about how much it sucks and how disappointed it was, to us, the big fans of it that have been talking about it for years and shit, like you might feel like, oh, I can get on my high horse and pop off like this, but you've clearly not been listening to the parts where we've been delivering the opposite level of passion for the games you were just shitting on, right?
Like also, I feel like the core of this is like coming from a Smash Bros perspective, which makes sense. Like people are expecting me to shit on them, but like it makes perfect sense. There are so many fucking games in Smash Brothers. Very few people have played all of them. There's going to be people that their introduction is to Metal Gear through Smash, right?
Right. But if you can, but if you're
in that context, Ryu Hayabusa is not a playable character in Smash Bros.
No.
Bayo is.
Yeah.
2 games.
Neither is Dante, for that matter. But
Yeah, neither's Dante.
yeah, but no, I think it's
Well,
just
he's a
like
me costume, isn't he?
I think it is just also just part of almost like the filters we put up about shit, where it's just like, yeah, they're talking about that shit again. You're not listening, you're tuning it out. It's again, we're getting hype over some shit you don't care about, whatever. But like when you start like shitting on something because it's disappointing to you, that you'll notice, and because of that, it'll make a bigger impression. And you're ignoring the rest of the context for where that disappointment comes from. So your entire assessment is the most inaccurate it possibly could be.
I think I have the best example for this because I dealt with it for many years for long-time viewers of the podcast, which was people in comment threads or on social media would ask me, Pat, why do you even play FF14? Every time you bring it up on the podcast,
Great.
you literally bitch for a
Nice.
straight hour
That's a really
about
good
that
one.
game.
That's a really good one. Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, because I play the game all the time. I know it extremely well. And the stuff that I find interesting to talk about is the shit that I want to fucking bitch about. The stuff that I like, I go, yeah, that part's good. The music's good. But like next week, next Tuesday, they're reworking Paladin. And you don't care about the part where if they rework Paladin to be good, but if they rework Paladin to be extra trash, oh man, I'll talk about that for 40 minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's disproportionately representing the negativity, whereas the positivity is just passively working and doing what it does. You know, you spent your money, you continue to spend your money, you're enjoying God knows how many hours of this game in a positive light up until these moments occur. You know,
it reminds me of the Pat scale of fucking the Pat scale of like enjoyment, which goes like crazy, stupendous, immaculate, amazing, the best thing ever. I'll kill someone to get it, and then the very, 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 very top is I really liked it. I thought it was really good. Right?
Sure.
But that's, I mean,
no, and you have to, I would say, in a larger sense, like it helps if you can like zoom out of these moments of things that you're enjoying to be aware of that, you know, because there are times when you might actually be locked in doing something and then not enjoying it actually, and then your time is more or less being wasted. But if you're participating in like, you know, whatever, like railing on like, again, yeah, shitty balance decisions or whatever, but it's because you're in the trenches, you're in that shit, and you know, you're fucking still putting a bunch of time in, you're not regretting your purchase of the thing. It's still something that you are passionate about. But that criticism and that passion, don't mistake the tenacity, the fire of it for like, this is being compared to neutral, right? Because it's not being compared to neutral. It's being compared to the fucking 10 that it usually is, and coming down from that point.
But also, to be fair to the emailer, there's like very few of these games. There's real few, and there's definitely an element of like, give me the scraps.
But to be fair to us, I think with that few, we haven't shut the fuck up about them for 10 years.
Should replay DMC 5.
That
game's just perfect. Except for the V levels on harder difficulties. That is definitely not perfect.
When there was one Bayonetta, we never shut the fuck up about it. When there was two, we never shut the fuck up about. Like, it doesn't matter. However few there might be. It's like, yeah, and we're going to constantly be going off on it. That's why we're seen as these people or whatever, you know?
Good email.
Yeah. All right.
A little confrontational, but good email. I like it.